Welcome to Panhead Studios. Today we're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 19, Black Flash.
This is a back to form episode for Jujutsu Kaisen, in my opinion. We're getting right back into a whole lot of action. This opens with the start of a fight scene, like with a fight scene that's clearly been ongoing, and it just does not stop with the action. We get to see Toge, Kamo, and Fushiguro as they're combating Hanami. And then Maki joins the fight a little later. And for the second half of the episode, it's Todo and Itadori Todo and Itadori end up showing up, and it's them really going ham at Hanami, which is so much fun. We get to see a couple of new fighting styles out of Fushiguro and Maki. We get to see new techniques out of Itadori, and we get a really fun hint from Todo at the end of the episode. And I just to get this off right off the bat, the animation in this is just so good, and everything is so very fluid. I loved every minute of this, so much so that when the episode ended, I was like, it's been 5 minutes, guys.
That's exactly how I felt. I was so mad that that the episode was over and I have to wait because, of course, you're more fight with Itadori. And it's probably going to not even be that. The next episode is probably going to be the fight between Yamamoto and the crazy butcher guy building a coat, wants to build a coat rack. But you got to see Yamamoto's Bankai in the last episode, I forgot to mention, where he has a guitar. I'm cool with that.
Gakugachi.
Yes, he's just Yamamoto with some piercings.
Yeah.
And a guitar.
And if I remember correctly, it's a flying V-neck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. That's what I'm predicting the next episode is going to be. Is they're going to tease you with this awesome
with that, and then they're gonna go to the flying V. Yeah.
But ultimately,
I really hope they don't. I hope they show Toto's tease.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, they did such an awesome job with all the action, just like how it starts to build, where the building action, where you get to see Fushiguro, Toge, and Kamo fighting Hanami, and it's just really awesome how they're constantly keeping distance, and how Hanami is just keeping so much pressure on him with his, I have the power to generate trees and
vines
stuff after you, but only when the plot calls for it. It's very plot-friendly superpower that he doesn't use all the time.
Yeah. There's definitely times where I saw that and I was like, why didn't you just do this? But it's still fun. It's still great fun. And I love it.
Yeah, you just don't worry about that and just enjoy the fact you get to see him do all sorts of cool stuff. And then
and I really like the fact that, especially for that part as it's going on, we actually one of the things that they referenced at the start of Group Battle Zero, when they're doing the meetings and everything, is that Toge has a limit to his power. It's not as powerful as curse speech is. There's a limit to it based on the strength of the opponent, what word he uses. And the word he uses this entire fight against Hanami is stop. It's a simple word. There's no killing intent behind it. It's just pause. And all it does is Hanami stops for a moment. Either Kamo or Fushiguro will make an attack, and that goes back and forth for a while. But what I really like is the fact that we end up seeing Toge's limit. We get to see the fact that it ends up causing him to vomit blood until he, can't operate anymore and ends up collapsing. Yeah. Which now, because he can't stop Hanami goes and basically smacks Kamo,
who's also at his end of his ropes, and because of the fight he just had with Fushiguro, and his power is, I'm just gonna call it bloodbending, because that show is actually pretty neat. But also his power, so that I control blood and can do things that are plot friendly. When you're that kind of power, even though it's got to be his own blood, that kind of power still, there's so much more creative stuff you can do with it. But anyways, he immediately just gets down because he'd been probably using a lot of his blood to defend himself.
Yeah, and
with Fushiguro.
I would have to guess at this point in the fight, he's starting to not just because it's very clear because he uses his own blood, he does a lot of pre-work, and I'm guessing at this point in the fight, he's probably out of his pre-made batch of stuff and is actually using his own blood in his body actively. Because he was coming to a group battle. Like, you're not going to gear up to go fight a special grade curse for that. That wasn't the intention.
Oh, I'm fighting a special grade curse. Give me 3 weeks. I got to take about 7 liters of blood out of my body.
Exactly. No, you don't prep for
just taking Coke 2-liter bottles and hurling them at him. Yeah. So,
but when they get knocked, it makes sense. And when they get knocked out, of course, because plot, Maki shows up to join the fight at that time. And we get to see an ability, again, that they talked about very early on in the show, where Fushiguro reaches into his shadow and starts pulling out cursed tools. And we've seen hints of it in this episode and the last episode, where it cuts away from him and then cuts back, and all of a sudden he's got a cursed sword or something. And Kamo even comments
where are those coming from?
But yeah, we see Fushiguro reach into his shadow and pull out a red 3/4 staff from Maki and hand it to her, and she ends up going and whacking Hanami with it, and it sends Hanami flying, which just shows the level of difference in cursed weapons. And they even talk about it a little bit in this episode, the difference.
That was what I really liked, is they actually explained that they're different, just like all the cursed stuff is they're giving more. It's a little spicing of world building as opposed to here's world building barf of all these people's backs.
Yeah, let's exposition for everything and then show it's
quick to the point, and it's almost, I would I would compare it to Attack on Titan, where you just basically get you get to see it, and then they have a brief little explanation, then it's never mentioned again. And it's the fact that there's different levels of cursed power weapons, so depending on which cursed weapons and how powerful they are, and that staff is one so powerful that it's worth 4 million yen.
Yeah. Yeah, after Maki launches Hanami, we get a little bit about Fushiguro, explains more about his Shikigami powers and the fact that when one is destroyed, he can never resummon it. But the very cool thing is the fact that their power gets passed on to the others. And the only technique that he has that we know of so far that cannot be destroyed is his what he calls bottomless well. It's his bag of holding. It's where he's pulling all of these weapons from. And then he summons Demon Dog again, but this time it's because the only Demon Dog he has left at this point is the black one, because the white one got destroyed in
Cursed Woman Must Die.
Cursed Woman Must Die. Thank you. But now his black Demon Dog has white feet, white fur on different features, and is much larger, much faster, and actually takes a bite out of Hanami's arm.
And it looks like she has claws like Nue had claws.
A little bit, yeah. Because that's one of the other things I forgot is we see Nue die.
Yeah.
He's just
sticks her hand through it and rips its heart out or whatever. I don't know. It's cool, though.
Oh, yeah, so cool. Once Hanami's away from the group, we actually get to see... I really, really love this scene, personally, but we get to see Maki and Fushiguro, working more together, and we're getting to see basically the results of the training that they were doing, because they fake out Hanami with using each other's weapons, and then they back off, swap, they throw each other, throw their weapons back to each other, and then make a double attack against Hanami. And it's so beautifully done, and everything about it is fluid and smooth.
And it doesn't feel like they take 20 minutes to do it or anything.
Yeah, no, it's Maki makes a strike, Fushiguro makes a strike, they back off, throw the weapons to each other, and rush in. There's no break in that pacing, and I loved it.
And you know where they're at and how they're creating space and openings.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. And I was... Oh, this is just it. Even though it's not what I wanted for in regards to where this arc was going, this particular small arc of the story was going, it's still really awesome, and I was just absolutely enthralled and just so happy to watch every piece of it, every part of this episode.
Oh yeah.
Even though I went into it mad, like, I want the tournament.
Now you're mad for a different reason.
Yeah.
But Hanami ends up sticking Fushiguro with this cursed plant that will drain his cursed energy, and it drains it faster the more he uses it.
It was like a mixture of a piranha plant from Mario and the Venus flytrap from Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was a little creepy. I give him credit for that.
Yeah, and Fushiguro being who he is
I choose when I die, and he like doesn't let it stop him or hold him back.
well, he's about to, and then Maki, like, his Maki ended up getting grappled by Hanami, and Maki is like, "Don't do it. It's time to tag out." And then Toto and Itadori jump in, and
yeah, that part I was so like I couldn't. If that was like a cartoon character, my eyes would have been popped out of my head and just glued to the screen.
yes,
It was so awesome because they show up and Toto tells Itadori like, "You're gonna take you got to learn how to use the Black Flash.
Black Flash technique."
And until you do, I am not going to help you, and I'll watch you die. And he just stands there all smug. And they also come down and call themselves best friends because now they're friends.
Yes.
And
Well, actually, what I find funny is Toto keeps doing it first. It takes Itadori a few minutes before we get to hear him do it.
when they both land, they call. Oh yeah, they both land and they call each other best friend, or maybe Itadori does. I know one of them's like, "We got this best friend."
Toto says it. Itadori doesn't say it till after he uses Black Flash.
I thought he said it too right in the very beginning. And whatever.
Whatever. Anyways.
And then you get to see just this really awesome fight between Itadori and Haname, and Itadori figures out how to use the Black Flash and hits him and does like devastating amount of damage in comparison to his regular Divergent Fist attack.
Oh yeah, insanely different. Like blows off Haname's arm kind of difference.
And then Haname's like, "Oh, I have to try."
Yes.
And then he reveals what's underneath his arm. Toto's like, "I'm in," and they're gonna both fight, and you see this really cool fight between all three of them. And then the episode ends, and
okay, what I will say though is when they're fighting together though, I love seeing them move together and work in unison. But I know what he's getting mad about, because the way this episode ends is Toto teasing that he is about to use his powers. And then it just cuts to the outro.
I swear, I was 5 minutes into the episode.
Yeah.
This episode was not 20 minutes, it's 5 minutes long.
It is. It's so, I'm so...
It's so good. And
yeah,
you really, like, it's like, this is definitely one of these shows that you need to binge watch, because otherwise it's just tickling you the whole time and making you angry. You gotta wait a week.
Yeah. I'm definitely gonna re-binge this all at once when everything is out.
Yeah, but that's ultimately everything that happens, all the important stuff we feel we have to say. Thanks for watching.
Have a good one. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you did, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let us know what you thought.
And if you're interested in watching us play games, follow us on Twitch. And if you want updates, please check out Twitter.